The Maxime Bernier experiment has failed, and the PPC is in a state of disarray. How did we get here? Well, let's look at the results of last night's by-election. He went into Portage-Lazare, the best performing place for the PPC. They got 25% in the last election. Maxime Bernier came in and got 70% this time around. Now, credit to a lot of PPC members who are on social media right now. I see them saying, we messed up, we got it wrong, how do we do better, we got to get back next time, and understanding that their political campaign failed. Good job, guys. I support you. Then there are some PPC members screaming about globalists on the internet and how voting isn't the solution and blah, 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 blah. Guys. Come on. But here we are. So Maxime Bernier should be done. This should be a stunning indictment of his inability to move the needle personally. If the PPC is going to be the Maxime Bernier show, then you have to show that when Maxime Bernier parachutes into a riding, you get at least a 5% bump. 10% is what you need to at least be taken seriously. But -8? -8. They didn't. I know it's a by-election, but Maxime Bernier didn't galvanize people and bring them out. He didn't show up early. We all knew there was going to be a by-election in Portage-Lazare months ago because Candice Bergen was going to resign because that's just the CPC constitution with interim leaders and that's how it works. It's stupid. And the CPC has silly things in their constitution, but at least they have one. What happened last night? You might want to scream at me, and you might have screamed at me in the last few months. You might have screamed at friends of mine. You might not have liked what Wyatt Claypool said or any of the other people who are offering criticisms. Frank Vaughan, a founding member of the PPC, among them. But if you really care about the PPC, if you care about the political state of the country and you think that there needs to be an alternative right-wing party, you need to come to terms with the fact that every criticism we had of the PPC and their election strategy was valid, and every flaw that we pointed out within the PPC manifested and hurt you. The PPC underperformed its polling numbers. This is a party, and listen, no one screams about the corruption of the polling industry more than Wyatt and I. It's the central theme of the show we did. We would rant, at least once a week, I would rant about the polling companies being biased. They have liberal establishment biases, and the PPC is overperforming. What does that mean? It means they exist mostly on Twitter, somewhat on Facebook. And also, Facebook's more productive than Twitter when it comes to politics. It just is, right? Facebook's for boomers! It's not cool. Yeah, it's not cool. It's for boomers. You know what else is not cool and it's for boomers mostly? Politics. Okay. Max. He goes into Portage-Lazare as the election starts, doesn't do the 3 months beforehand, runs around, screams about the World Economic Forum. Pierre screams about the World Economic Forum. None of this matters to anyone. Listen, I don't care who went to the World Economic Forum prior to 2020. Honestly, I don't. There was no heat around it. It was just a fancy pants conference where you met other foreign ministers. Right now we know what the crazy SOBs believe. Right? If Maxime Bernier or Pierre Poilievre go to the World Economic Forum conference in 2024, yeah, I'll scream with you. But because, Pierre and Max said something about the World Economic Forum and Canada's ranking there in 2009 and 2014 respectively, I don't care. Bernier did it 5 years later than Pierre, so if it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This isn't a real issue. And this is someone who has a whole hour video on his YouTube channel breaking down the Great Reset, the World Economic Forum, and just how stupid and crazy it is. Okay? So it's not like this is a issue that doesn't matter at all. It doesn't matter in terms of electoral politics in Canada. And I'm not saying you can't talk about it. I'm not saying you can't talk about gender ideology, but your focus needs to be on the bread and butter issues, right? You can mold gender ideology into sort of education, but you need an economic policy, and you need healthcare. You need to explain the big three. Those are the big three in every democracy of all time. So if you want to win, go there. If you want to win, you need EDAs, you need staffers, you need people door knocking, you need people on email lists. The PPC has none of this. Or what they do have is so bare bones minimum that it's virtually non-existent. So if the continued strategy is to be the Maxime Bernier show, where we're going to go across Canada and yell about the cultural issue of the day, fine. But you have to come to terms with the fact that that is not a winning election strategy. If you want to keep doing that, fine. If you think it is so important that someone be screaming about these issues and rallying about it, all right. Just understand that will never translate into a seat in Parliament where you can use it to actually make change on these issues you care about. Again, I'm going to reiterate. I'm not saying don't talk about gender ideology. I do all the time. The Conservatives need to do it more. The PPC needs to do it less. It can be 10%. It shouldn't be over 50% of what you're talking about. It doesn't drive the needle forward. Now, there's a lot of people who have defected from the left and a lot of gender-critical feminists who need a place to go. You can get them with 10%. 10% of your effort, gender ideology. And you can get them. Max has no path forward politically. None. What's he going to do? Parachute into another riding, go to Calgary? Now, if Max is serious and the PPC has an epiphany and they want to wake up and they want to become a real political party, then Maxime Bernier needs to sit down in Portage-la-Sarre, buy a home there, and invest in that riding. Just be there 9 months out of the year in Manitoba, Max, and you can do a 3-month cross-Canada tour. Like a touring comic. I have a lot of comic friends that tour. They have a home base, right, in Toronto usually, some New York or LA, and then they go on tour. You need a home base, okay? You need to have an apartment in Toronto and New York. Portage-la-Sarre in this case. So, if the PPC brings their star candidate, Maxime Bernier, savior of Canada, into a riding, loses votes because of it, what does that tell you? It tells me that Maxime Bernier's current political campaigning strategy is not viable. And if you want to win, you need a different strategy. If you want a different strategy, you need a party constitution. Members need rights. You need EDAs. You need provincial councils. You need all these things. I got an annoying text from Mark Saunders running for mayor of Toronto yesterday. I didn't answer it, but at least he's trying. He sucks. He's boring. He can't do other things right, but at least he can organize. The Christian Heritage Party beat the PPC in the Oxford riding yesterday. All right, PPC members, I just want to give you this one example here. You can say, oh, we didn't put resources in there, blah, blah, blah. Probably the biggest social media influencer associated with the Christian Heritage Party in the last 10 years is Laurelyn Tyler Thompson. What was Laurelyn Tyler Thompson doing these last 3 months? She was busting her ass in Portage-la-Sarre campaigning for the PPC and Maxime Bernier. So the number one social media influencer, or one of the top, left the party, went to the PPC, and they still beat the PPC in a riding. Social media isn't real life. You need community organizing. You need to have not fundraisers where Maxime Bernier comes in and makes a speech at a thing. You need community organizers, people taking lead, pub nights, getting into the community, getting organized, getting, growing the base. Politics is a local game. And the PPC is not playing it. And the PPC people are getting mad at us for pointing this out. Saying, no, the PPC is a great team. It's a great team. Look at Maxime Bernier. He's an excellent quarterback. He can throw the ball 60 yards on the move. Great. We're playing hockey. We're playing hockey. You're not even wearing skates. So why do I have to take this hockey team seriously?